When a world superpower, I mean the largest economy on the planet, publicly offers to buy the world's largest island, your first reaction is probably to laugh.
It does sound a little absurd on the surface.
Exactly. It feels like a punchline, a
Yeah.
weird real estate joke. But if you actually look behind the headlines, into the strategy rooms in Washington or Brussels and especially Beijing,
Yeah.
no one is laughing.
No one is laughing at all. This seemingly bizarre proposal is really the opening shot in a very, very serious geopolitical game.
So it's not a joke.
It is absolutely not a joke. What we're witnessing is the beginning of what some are calling the Greenland crisis. And our mission in this deep dive is to really unpack why this massive, mostly frozen block of ice is now arguably the single most strategic piece of geography on the planet.
Okay, let's get into it then. We've gone through a stack of military analyses, economic forecasts, geological surveys. And what's really striking is that Greenland's value isn't just one thing.
Right. It's a convergence.
It's three huge interconnected drivers. So that's what we'll explore. First, the island as a military fortress. Then, as a hidden treasure chest of vital minerals. And finally, as the gatekeeper for brand new global shipping lanes.
It's perfect storm, really. You have Cold War-era geography colliding with 21st century tech dependency, and it's all being accelerated by climate change. All in one place.
Let's start with the geography then, the fortress. I mean, you just have to look at a map for a second. Its role as the gatekeeper of the Atlantic it's just undeniable.
It's completely non-negotiable for military planners. If any adversary, any power, wants to project naval force or attack North America from the east, they have to pass Greenland. It's a fundamental reality.
And this isn't just a general idea. There's a specific military term for this, isn't there?
There is. It defined naval strategy for decades. We're talking about the GIUK Gap.
GIUK, so that's Greenland, Iceland, and the UK.
Exactly. Greenland, Iceland, United Kingdom. It forms this massive maritime choke point, about 1,600 miles long, stretching from the Arctic down to Scotland. During the Cold War, this was the front line.
Was there Soviet submarines, right, trying to break out into the Atlantic?
Precisely. Trying to get out of their northern bases and into the open ocean to threaten shipping lanes. NATO and the U.S. spent fortunes monitoring that gap.
Right, with things like the SOSUS network, the sonar arrays they laid on the seabed.
All to listen for those subs.
Yeah.
It was the essential line of defense. And the sources are clear, that line is just as indispensable today.
Which explains the long-standing U.S. presence there, Thule Air Base.
Over 70 years, Thule is America's northernmost listening post. It was originally built to detect Soviet nuclear missiles coming over the North Pole.
Giving them those critical few minutes of warning.
Critical minutes, yes. But its role has evolved. Today, it's not just looking for missiles. It's tracking satellites, monitoring space debris. It's a constant electronic eye on the entire Arctic.
Okay, that makes sense from a historical point of view. But if the main threat is shifting, away from ballistic missiles and more toward resource competition, is the GIUK Gap still the central piece of the puzzle?
That's a great question. The geography is the same, but its function has broadened. It's not just a defensive line against subs anymore. It's a monitoring zone for this new great game.
So from Thule, you can watch everything that moves in the Arctic.
You can watch the emerging polar Silk Road, which we'll get to. You can track the increased naval presence of Russia, and more importantly, of China. Controlling the GIUK Gap lets the U.S. project power into the Arctic as the ice melts.
So Greenland's role as a fortress is secure, even growing. But this is where the story takes a sharp turn, from what's happening in the air and sea to what's literally in the ground.
Right. We're moving from the fortress to the treasure.
And this is where it shifts from defense to, well, something like absolute dependency.
Yes. Because when we talk about modern technology, whether it's advanced military hardware or just the smartphone in your pocket, all of it runs on something called rare earth elements, REZs.
And we should be clear, these aren't just like fancy types of copper. These are specific, almost magical ingredients.
They're the secret sauce. These 17 elements make modern tech possible. Take something like neodymium. It creates the most powerful magnets known to man.
Which are in everything from electric car motors to wind turbines.
Everything. Or dysprosium and terbium. You need them for precision laser guidance systems, for the lightweight electronics in an F-35 fighter jet. You literally cannot build next-generation hardware without them. They're irreplaceable.
And this is the part that, frankly, is terrifying when you dig into the data. This is the strategic vulnerability that keeps Western planners up at night.
It is?
China controls over 80% of the entire global supply chain. Not just mining, but processing and refining.
80%. That isn't just market dominance. It's a strategic chokehold. It means you're fundamentally compromised, dependent on a geopolitical rival for the building blocks of your entire defense and tech sectors.
I saw one analysis that said if Beijing decided to just turn off the tap,
Turn off the tap.
the West would run out of components for everything from satellites to EV batteries in, what, 90 days?
90 to 120 days. It's a full-blown national security crisis hiding in plain sight.
So if the problem is a monopoly, the only solution is to find another source, a secure source. And suddenly, Greenland looks like a massive, glittering prize.
It really does. Geologists have confirmed it. A site in southern Greenland called Kvanefjeld. This one location is thought to hold one of the largest undeveloped deposits of rare earths in the world.
So it's not just an opportunity, it's a lifeline.
It's a geopolitical lifeline for the entire West. The U.S. doesn't just want access to these minerals. At this point, it needs them to break that monopoly.
But hold on. Mining rare earths is famously difficult and environmentally messy. And Greenland is a democracy. Isn't there huge local opposition to tearing up the landscape?
You've hit on the central complication. It's not a simple fix. There are powerful local political movements who are, very sensitive to the environmental impact, and they have blocked or at least slowed progress on developing Kvanefjeld.
So the U.S. can't just walk in and start digging.
Absolutely not. This is a massive political challenge to navigate, but the strategic need is so great, the desperation to break that 80% Chinese control is so high that powers are willing to engage with that complexity. The game shifts from just finding the minerals to securing a politically reliable partner who will actually let you extract them.
Which makes Greenland this crazy intersection of military strategy and resource security. But there's a third piece to this puzzle, and it's being driven by the planet itself. We have to talk about the ice.
This is where we move to the new ocean. And the irony is just profound. The very ice that kept Greenland isolated for centuries is now rapidly melting.
And the projections are startling. We could see ice-free Arctic summers by 2040.
As early as 2040, yes. Now, that's an environmental catastrophe, of course. But from a purely geopolitical and economic perspective, it's also a revolutionary opportunity.
Because it opens up a new ocean, a whole new set of global highways.
That's it. What people are calling the Polar Silk Road. It's a direct challenge to every single existing global shipping route.
I mean, for centuries, shipping from Asia to Europe has meant going the long way around.
The long, vulnerable way. Through the Suez Canal, through choke points, areas with piracy risks. It takes forever.
So what's the difference with the Arctic route?
The difference is speed. It's the ultimate shortcut. The sources we looked at show that the Northern Sea route, which runs north of Russia, cuts travel time between major Asian and European ports by a staggering 40%.
40%. For global logistics, that's a revolution.
It completely resets the economics of global trade. The savings on fuel, on time, on insurance, it's immense.
Okay, but let's put on the geopolitical hat again. If that main route runs along Russia's northern coast, aren't you just swapping dependency on the Suez Canal for dependency on Moscow?
That is the crucial point. And that is where Greenland's unique position comes back into play. Russia may control the route itself, but Greenland controls the front door.
The Western access point.
The Western access and exit point. It sits perfectly positioned to be the hub for everything that makes a shipping route viable. Search and rescue, naval monitoring, deep water ports for support. You control that, you control the viability of the entire western end of the route.
So if you control Greenland, or have major influence there, you effectively control the toll booth for the future of global trade.
That's the perfect way to put it. The toll booth of the future global economy. Suddenly, Greenland's value shifts from just defense protecting the Atlantic to offense, controlling the global flow of goods.
And that explains why China and the U.S. are both pouring money and diplomatic effort into GIUK, the capital. They're not just trying to buy an island. They're trying to buy influence and control over infrastructure.
Deepwater ports, airfields, communications arrays, they're all chess pieces on this new board.
When you put all three pieces together, the whole Greenland crisis becomes crystal clear. It's not a real estate deal. It's a calculated strategic necessity.
Let's just synthesize it one more time. You have the military imperative, the GIUK Gap, controlling access to the Atlantic and monitoring the Arctic. That's non-negotiable.
Then you have the tech imperative, breaking China's 80% monopoly on rare earths, which are the lifeblood of our entire modern economy.
And finally, the economic future, controlling the key junction for the Polar Silk Road, this new artery of global trade. All three of those roads lead directly to Greenland.
It's no longer a remote territory. It's ground zero for great power competition.
Which is why, when you hear talk about buying Greenland, you shouldn't see it as a joke. You should see it for what it is, a highly calculated chess move and a game with enormous stakes.
The major powers are positioning themselves for a future that's going to be defined by what happens as that Arctic ice disappears.
One of the sources used a really powerful metaphor to sum it all up. It said, the board is freezing, but the game is heating up.
I like that.
And what that really gets at is how this convergence of climate change and our own technological demand has completely and permanently redrawn the strategic map. And it makes you wonder, what other places that we think of as remote or marginal right now, from Antarctica to the deep sea, are about to become the next geopolitical battlegrounds because of these same forces.